When compiling a bestiary, one must consider first and foremost the locales that Pokémon appear in. Before going into depth about any specific creature, we must break them down by location. Broadly, the world has been split into regions, all of whom have sovereignty between one another, as well as established borders. More specifically, these regions have been split into informal areas, called anything from zones to provinces. In Chapter 3, we will begin with the Kanto region. Kanto has no formal provinces, but ecologists and cartographers break up the area into 4 quadrants of varying size listed on this map. Going clockwise from the right, West Kanto, the largest area, North Kanto, the most populous, South Kanto, bordering the sea to the south and east, and of course, the Cantonian Sea to the south. In each section, I will introduce a new area and its species, and if there is a species we have not as yet mentioned, I will give its line a detailed explanation. First, we will discuss the ecosystem of West Kanto. We shall begin, aptly enough, with a town that is home to my own laboratory, Palletstown. Palletstown areas. Palletstown is a small town, nestled in the south of the landmass that comprises Kanto and Johto, ideal for field research. No Pokémon exist in town, but Route 1, which is managed by my own lab, is home to several very common Cantonian species, namely the Pidgey and Rattata lines. Pidgeotline. The Pidgeotline begins with Pidgey, then Pidgeotto, then Pidgeot. All 3 cohabitate and have similar diets and behaviors. They are all normal flying and belong to the flying egg group. Pidgey is small, a meter long with the same wingspan. It eats bug types, a favorite being Caterpie. It's a common Pokémon, both with trainers and in the wild, unwary and easy to train. The whole line has excellent direction and can fly tirelessly. Pidgeotto are the more territorial form and gain a crest. They are less docile. Pidgeot is more aerodynamic and has a longer crest. They are regal and confident and fiercely loyal to trainer and nest alike. They are responsible for getting food for young Pidgey. They are 1.5 meters tall and have a wingspan of 5 meters. It can hunt larger prey like Magikarp and fly at nearly Mach 2. Its wings are immensely strong. Mega Pidgeot gains colored plumage and even more speed, though they cannot land until they devolve. Raticate line. Rattata evolves into Raticate, both of which possess an alternative form native to the Alola region. All varieties belong to the Field Egg group. Cantonian Rattata and Raticate are normal type, and they have a slightly different counterpart in Alola, which we will discuss later on. Cantonian Rattata are herbivorous, foraging for nuts and berries. At 1 meter long, they are sometimes prey to Ekans and Pidgeot, and more rarely Golbat. As such, Raticate are less common, but Rattata are very common in grassy areas and forests. They live in groups, often underground or in caves, and their teeth are very sharp. Cantonian Raticate are aggressive and seldom preyed upon due to their dangerous fangs. It gnaws habitually and can chew through even stone and concrete. It must do this, otherwise its teeth grow far too quickly. Trainers often use incredibly stiff chew toys for their Raticate to chew. Viridian areas. Viridian City is home to the Earth Badges Gym, one of the 8 Cantonian Pokémon League certified gymnasiums. To the north is Route 2 into the Viridian Forest, and to the west are Routes 22, 26, 27, and 28. West on Route 22 and 28 is Mount Silver, and north on Route 22 and Victory Road is the Indigo Plateau, the Pokémon League HQ in the region. South on Route 22, then 26 and 27 is the Johtonian border. This area is very diverse, so we shall cover each area in sequence. First, Route 2 into the Viridian Forest. Route 2 in the Viridian Forest connect Viridian City to Pewter City. There is also an exit to Diglett's Cave. Pidgey and Rattata reside here, as well as Nidoran. In the woods proper, there are Weedle and Caterpie lines, as well as Pikachu. Oddish and Bellsprout comprise the plant life, and at one time Bulbasaur lived here. Butterfree line. The Butterfree line begins with Caterpie, continues to Metapod, and ends with Butterfree. This line lives in thick woods and forests. Caterpie are very common, but are preyed on by birds like Pidgey, so Butterfree are rare. They are all bug type, Butterfree acquiring the flying type, and they are all part of the bug egg group. Caterpie is small, only approximately a foot in height, and escapes from danger using its silk. It climbs trees using its sticky feet and drives foes away with its terrible smell that comes from the antennae. Metapod is a cocoon spun by Caterpie. It remains inert until it evolves, making it easy prey for birds who can peck through the hard thread. Butterfree, in evolving, stops being the target for bird Pokémon due to its toxicity. It can also release poison dust from its wings. It aids in pollination and is about 1 meter tall, nearly 3 meters in wingspan. The Beedrill line. The Beedrill line begins with Weedle, then Kakuna, then Beedrill. Beedrill has a Mega Evolution. They're all bug poison type and belong to the bug egg group. It lives in the same environment as the Caterpie line. Weedle is similar to Caterpie, about a foot-long worm, but Weedle has poor eyesight and a spike on its head and tail. It is preyed on by birds, but are toxic to eat, leading to indigestion and death in its would-be predators. Its stinger is also venomous, deterring predation. Unlike the Caterpie line, which enjoys sweet things, Weedle likes to eat leaves. Kakuna is Weedle's cocoon and is softer than Metapod. Though it loses its toxicity and is less hard, it is preyed on more often. Beedrill is about 1 meter tall and 1.5 meters in its mega form. It has poison stingers on its forearms and rear end. Mega Beedrill gains a second set of forearm spikes and a larger rear stinger. Beedrill often swarm together, and the swarms are very territorial. They become issues in modern areas and require exterminators. The Raichu line. Pikachu evolves into Raichu. Pikachu has a Gigantamax form, and Raichu has an Alolan variant, which will be discussed later. They're electric type, and they all belong to the field and fairy egg groups. Pikachu also has a baby form in Pichu. Pichu is notorious for being clumsy with its electricity. It's not old enough yet to control its power, so it hurts itself and others. Pikachu is beloved the world over. This is in spite of its dangerous penchant for electrocuting new trainers and moody disposition. It's common and a decent starter Pokémon for the ambitious. It's not often preyed upon because it is not commonly found in the wild. Like Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, Pikachu is rare in the wild due to conservation efforts. Gigantamax Pikachu is much the same, but gains a staggeringly powerful tail and the customary immense height. Cantonian or Raichu have gained control of their electricity and use their long tails as a ground. It is said that this Pokémon can discharge 100,000 volts. Raichu are quite rare, as their evolution is based on a synthetic thunderstone, the Nidoran line. The Nidoran line has a branching evolution depending on the gender of the Nidoran. Adolescent Nidoran and the Nidoking line are in the monster and egg groups, and the Nidoqueen line has no eggs. They are all poison type, the latter evolutions gaining the ground type. Male Nidoran evolve into Nidorino and then Nidoking. Female Nidoran evolve into Nidorina and Nidoqueen. Nidoran vary from gender, but they all have long teeth like Rattata, as well as whiskers and long ears. Males are darker in color, and neither are heavily preyed upon due to their poisonous nature. Of course, with some exceptions. They have barbs in their horns that are toxic for defense. Nidorina lose their horns in favor of thicker hides and stronger muscles. They are more aggressive than males despite being less imposing, but only become aggressive in defense of nests. Nidoqueen are bold matriarchs, very friendly, but don't approach their nest. They treat their trainers like their own children. It is more highly armored than its male counterpart. Nidorino are the first male evolution. Unlike Nidorina, they are quadrupedal and exist to gather food. Despite their imposing nature, they are herbivores. It retains its horn and venom. Nidoking stand 1.5 meters tall, boast huge horns and strong tails and claws. Less defensive than Nidoqueen, they are similarly paternal. Trainers with Nidoking seek strong opponents to sate Nidoking's temperament. The Vileplume line. Oddish evolves into Gloom, into Vileplume, or Blossom. They are all poison grass type and are in the grass egg group. Oddish is very small at 0.5 meter and spends a lot of time burrowed underground. It's common prey for many Pokémon when it comes up to eat, and the scent it exudes makes it easy to find. Gloom are fascinating, as they have a unique smell that attracts some Pokémon and people, but repels most. Gloom turns from prey to predator, luring in smaller Pokémon who feast on plants before devouring them. Vileplume are even more noxiously smelling. Trainers will have their scent glands removed to avoid the unbearable stench. In the wild, it has both a scent gland and a poison gland, which they use in tandem to disable and poison prey. It only stands 1 meter tall, but in the wild with no pruning, its petals can become nearly double its height. Blossom evolve from Gloom if they are exposed to the rare sunstone or simply a high amount of sunlight. They are more common in Johto due to the sunnier areas there. They are more sweet-smelling and have a better disposition than Gloom and Vileplume, but are still toxic to eat. Their spores cause sleep in those who spend too much time around them. Victreebel line. The Victreebel line begins with Bellsprout, then Weepinbell, and finally Victreebel. They are all grass poison and belong to the Grassic group. Bellsprout is one of the rare Pokémon possessing roots. They are capable of using these roots to walk, but prefer to wait stationary for bug Pokémon to wander into their sweet-smelling mouths. Weepinbell, unlike their terrestrial pre-evolution, hang from trees. They have a similar manner of consuming. While they are just 1 meter tall, they can consume even large prey like Butterfree, but due to being stationary, more so than Bellsprout, they are eaten by Pokémon and even humans who mistake them for fruit. Victreebel have no such problems. They are much larger at 1.7 meters, and their mouths could fit a human inside. Happily, they do not prefer humans to eat, and spit out any preys they do not prefer. Still, their stomach acid is not pleasant to feel. The acid is used in some industrial zones to dispose of waste. It's safe to harvest with the correct equipment. Be careful though, as Victreebel can eat anything that is small enough to fit in its mouth, so large congregations in urban areas are considered pests. Border area. To the east, there lies the craggy Silver Mountain Range, which serves as the border between Kanto and Johto, as well as the Pokémon League HQ, which Kanto and Johto share. Kanto's gym challenge, known as the Indigo Conference, and Johto's gym challenge, known as the Silver Conference, are both eligible to compete in the Indigo League champion bout. In the past, champions have hailed from both regions. The unsettled areas, including routes 22, 28, and 26, are home to the usual Kantonian suspects: Rattata, Sparrow, Nidoran, and Mankey. In water routes there live Magikarp, Goldeen, and Poliwag, all saltwater creatures living in the Route 26 inlet. In the more mountainous areas there are also Ekans, Sandshrew, Ponyta, and Tentacool. There are some Jotonian species, such as Noctowl and Quagsire, which will be discussed in Johto's chapters. Victory Road, which is a maze-like cave system, holds common cave Pokémon like Zubat, Machop, Geodude, Onix, and Cubone, as well as Marowak. It is said to be the occasional home of Moltres, which will be discussed in the section regarding Kanto's legendary Pokémon. Route 28 and Mount Silver are on the border, containing Ponyta, Tangela, Ekans, and Zubat, as well as Jotonian species such as Ursaring, Donphan, and Sneasel. Mount Silver is home to some craggy customers: Zubat, Psyduck, Geodude, and Magmar, as well as the Jotonian Ursaring, Donphan, and Larvitar. This area is also home to Tojo Falls, which will be discussed in Johto's chapters. The Fearow line. Sparrow evolves into Fearow. They are both normal flying type and belong to the flying egg group. Sparrow are scavengers and predators alike. Though it cannot fly well, it can run and climb. It prefers Kakuna and Metapod, and are able to break their shells with its hard beak. Fearow are massive, not quite as fast as Pidgeot, but far more deadly. They are more than 1 meter tall, and even have wider wingspans than Pidgeot, more than 5 meters, as well as downy fur to increase maneuverability. Their long beaks skewer even large prey like Rattata, and huge talons and powerful wings allow them to grab even large Pokémon like Ekans. It can fly very high and has the stamina to fly for days at a time. Trainers with Fearow need to keep them well fed. The Primeape line. Mankey evolves into Primeape. They are both pure fighting type and belong to the Field Egg group. Mankey are small, only about a foot, but their arms and legs have a wide reach. They are pack creatures living in trees. They're prone to anger at each other and trainers. Primeape are less prone to anger, but only in that they always seem to be furious at something. They are tireless, and Primeape in the wild sometimes exhaust themselves finding food. It's not recommended to run from them, and instead play dead. Arbok line. Arbok's line begins with Ekans, then of course Arbok. They are both poison type and belong to the field and dragon egg groups. Ekans is a lover of eggs. Consuming eggs is its main diet. They grow to be nearly 2 meters long and can swallow small critters whole, able to dissolve them quickly in the same acid that populates their stomachs. In spite of this, they are often preyed upon by large birds, namely Fearow and Pidgeot. Arbok, on the other hand, is an apex predator. They are gigantic and fearsome, growing 3.5 meters in length, usually positioned upright at about 5 feet tall, their frills on display. They have no predators, and consume even formidable birds who once may have given it trouble. They are also not discerning, consuming any Pokémon that it comes across, with some exceptions. Its body can constrict with deadly force, and its frill can hypnotize prey. While they don't usually feed on humans, it's not unheard of, and a trainer can have its Pokémon eaten by this foe. Be wary. Sandslash line. Sandslash evolved from Sandshrew. They are both ground type and part of the Field Egg group. They also have an Alolan form, which will be discussed later in this tome. Despite their small size, Sandshrew are very hardy and tough. They hide at openings of their burrows, blending into the sand. When prey wanders by, they strike. Due to their camouflage, they are hard for trainers to spot, but even so are good companions, since they do not require much sustenance or water. They also curl into balls for easy storage. Sandslash are larger, standing 1 meter tall. Their spines make the balls they roll into dangerous to enemies. They are also good at climbing trees and even cacti. They hunt much like their pre-evolution, but both Pokémon are omnivorous, able to consume even tough cacti and desert plants. The Rapidash line. Ponyta evolve into Rapidash. They are both fire-type and belong to the Field Egg group. They each have a Galarian form that will be discussed later. Ponyta are rare among fire-types, in that they are found outside of hot, remote areas. They are expert runners, and groups can be seen in flat plains. They avoid forests, which is for the best, as the fire they exude would not be good for the environment. Their hooves are incredibly hard as well. Rapidash are mature Ponyta. They are sometimes used as mounts, but require fireproof pants and saddles. They are found on Cycling Road in Kanto, racing against the trainers on their bicycles. The faster they go, the harder they blaze. Much like me, back in college. Anyway, the Golbat line. Zubat evolves into Golbat, then Crobat. They are all poison flying and belong to the Flying group. This line is rare in the Flying group, as it does not have feathers nor fur. Zubat is slightly less than 1 meter tall and is a pest to anyone traveling through caves or tunnel routes. Infestation must be quickly dealt with, otherwise they will overtake native populations. Golbat are rarer, as they have a nasty habit of consuming Zubat when food is scarce. Their massive mouths are largely for show, as they actually consume the blood of their prey. When they get too glutted on blood, they become unable to fly and are fed on by other Golbat or predators. They're not common with trainers, but they are a favorite of the crime syndicate Team Rocket. Crobat are 2 meters long and significantly more docile than Golbat. None exist in the wild, as they are only able to evolve in captivity. It can fly incredibly swiftly and nearly silently. Its feet shrink in size, and it gains a set of secondary wings. Since it cannot support its own weight standing, it's able to sleep hanging from trees. How cute. Machamp line. Machop evolves into Machoke into Machamp. They are part of the human-like egg group and are pure fighting type. Machamp has a Gigantamax form. Machop are small, sometimes mistaken for children. Even so, they are massively powerful. They exercise tirelessly as well, lifting rocks for fun. They sometimes lift Geodude and Graveler by mistake, much to the chagrin of said Geodude and Graveler. Machoke are larger, standing about the size of a small adult, 5 feet or so. They cooperate with humans and are used in labor in moving companies and factories. This work suits them, as menial tasks are invigorating to them. Even so, in Kanto and Hoenn, labor unions have fought for their rights to avoid exploitation. Machamp are about as tall as Machoke, but they gain a secondary pair of arms. They evolve very rarely and only after some large emotional event. The specific mechanics are unknown. Still, they are excellent fighters, and are seen being trained for the Pokémon League rather than in industry. Gigantamax Machamp are huge, and their power is so great that their muscles glow under their skin. The Golem line. Golem evolved from Graveler from Geodude. This line is rock-ground type and belong to the Mineral Egg group. They all have Alolan forms, which will be discussed at a later date. Like many Pokémon part of the Mineral group, Geodude's body is mostly inorganic. Its actual biomass is contained inside the rocks it occupies and can repair dents and scratches by appropriating rock mass. That actual biological mass looks more like a reuniclus, a pair of arm muscles and nerves, eyes, and a mouth. While inert, they resemble rocks. Graveler came in a secondary pair of arms as well as a more boulder-like appearance. Their biomass doesn't increase much, but their inorganic mass does. They enjoy a round shape and can roll around, and they are a danger on mountain trails to hikers. Golem do not exist in the wild. Unlike their pre-evolutions, they have a biomass that extends out from its rocky insides. Its hide is still very thick and can withdraw its limbs to roll about. Due to a long life of adding rocks to its mass, it is unspeakably hard, able to withstand dynamite blasts. It is also capable of expelling explosive force in self-destructs. It uses this ability to move from place to place in craggy areas. Pewter areas and Mount Moon. Pewter City is home of the Boulder Badge and the Indigo Gym Challenge. It is also home to the Pewter Museum of Science, which has long studied fossil records in the region. In a later chapter, I will discuss many extinct Pokémon and efforts to revive them. To the east lies Route 3, Mount Moon, and then Route 4, which leads into Viridian City in North Kanto. This area is craggy, as the Silver Mountain Range comes around to envelop this area. The Silver Range extends around Pewter City and the Indigo Plateau to form the Indigo Valley. In this area, broadly called Mount Moon, there are several rarer Kantonian species. There are, of course, the usual suspects like Pidgey, Rattata, Sparrow, Sandshrew, Mankey, Nidoran, Ekans, and Zubat, but also fairies like Jigglypuff and Clefable inside Mount Moon proper. Inside the caves of Mount Moon, there are Paris, Geodude, and Onyx. Moonstones can be found here. The Wigglytuff line. Igglybuff, the baby, evolves into Jigglypuff, then into Wigglytuff. All three are normal fairy type and belong to the fairy egg group. Igglybuff, the baby Pokémon, is quite small, just about 30 centimeters or 1 foot. They are often found in groups, bouncing about, and are easy to tame. They enjoy singing and bouncing despite their docile natures. Normally predatory Pokémon do not bother them. Jigglypuff are a common sight in Kanto and abroad, beloved for its singing voice. There exist services in Kanto to rent Jigglypuff out to new parents to help their babies sleep. In the wild, this singing ability is not used for predation, but they are known to put prey animals to sleep, causing their untimely deaths. It's unknown if this is intentional on Jigglypuff's part. Wigglytuff are massive and have huge lung capacities, allowing them to inflate and use incredible pneumatic force to their advantage. They are less easygoing than their pre-evolutions. It also makes Pokémon difficult to hurt with blunt force, as its rubbery skin absorbs hits. Despite their large eyes, they are safe from dust due to a thin layer of tears. The Clefable line. Clefairy evolves into Clefable. There are also baby Pokémon Cleffa that will be discussed in the next chapter. Oddly, this line is disproportionately female. They are all fairy types and in the fairy egg group. Cleffa is their baby form. Cleffa are small and shy, rarely seen in the wild. Clefairy is rare, seldom appearing to humans. There has long been a folktale that Clefairy are from the moon, and while they do have an affinity for moonlight and nighttime, this seems unlikely. They are most commonly seen in a full moon. Clefable do not exist in the wild. They evolve only when exposed to a moon stone. Like Clefairy, it is very wary, but it's protective of their trainers. It's said that those who keep and evolve their Clefairy will have a happy marriage. They are sensitive to noise, and it is considered cruel to keep one in an urban area. Parasect line. Paras evolves into Parasect. They are both bug grass type and are in the bug and grass egg groups. Paras are fascinating creatures. They are all infected by mushrooms known as the Tochukaso, which are involved in its life cycle, such that no Paras exist in the wild without this infection. Curiously, Paras bred in captivity without this mushroom will have no will to eat and quickly die of starvation. Parasect evolve after the mushrooms have completely subsumed the host. The body slowly decays while being piloted by the mushroom. It scatters spores to make more mushrooms and infect more Paras. The relationship between this Pokémon and the mushrooms is not symbiotic, but Paras are still unable to live without them. It's accurate to say that the fungus has fully domesticated the insect. Celadon areas and Vermilion Inlet West. Celadon City lies near the coast of the Vermilion Inlet in Route 16 and 17 and extends east and south respectively. Route 16 connects to Viridian City through the more rough wilderness, and 17 connects to Route 18 and Fuchsia City through South Kanto. The divide between the Viridian Forest of Route 16 is a large wood connected to Viridian Forest, broadly called the Viridian Wood. In Celadon City proper, the Game Corner hosts a number of Pokémon available for purchase. Kanto is the only remaining region that allows the corporate purchase of Pokémon, and the Game Corner is the only place that this practice proliferates. There are a number of Pokémon bred by the Game Corner, such as Portagon, but species such as Eevee, Dratini, and Scyther can be bought as well. Eevee and Portagon are common in these urban areas, but other such Pokémon will be discussed in their natural habitats. Route 16, the non-wooded areas, are hilly and home to common species like Rattata and Spearow. Pidgey do not live in these areas, where their preferred bug Pokémon are scarce, in favor of Spearow and Doduo, who feast on the grass types here. There are also several species who developed in the urbanized areas, such as Grimer and Muck. Celadon and Saffron cities are close by, so urban Pokémon proliferate. Route 17, known as Cycling Road, has few Pokémon. The only unique member of this area is Ponyta, who enjoy the long flat area to run upon. It is also a popular fishing spot. The Eevee line. Eevee are a unique Pokémon who evolve depending on the environment they are raised in. They evolve into either Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Espeon, Umbreon, Glaceon, Leafeon, or Sylveon, depending on their exposure. They are normal type and belong to the Field Egg group. Eevee possesses a Gigantamax form. Eevee is small, just 30 centimeters high, and enjoy a healthy population in the wild and in domestication. They were once a premier starter Pokémon until the advent of the starter program, but they are still trainers' first partners in many areas. Gigantamax Eevee grow immense fur on their tufts. Vaporeon, the water type, evolves from Eevee who either live in watery areas or are exposed to the water stone. They gain the ability to breathe underwater as well as swim elegantly. Its fins detect barometric pressure. Flareon, the fire type, evolves from Eevee in hot climates when exposed to a firestone. It stores fire in its body like many fire types. Be careful, it can radiate intense heat. They are the rarest in the wild. Jolteon, the electric type, does not evolve in the wild. It evolves due to a thunderstone, which are man-made. Its fur conducts electricity, and it's useful to the power industry. Espeon gains a jewel on its forehead and the psychic type. It evolves if no particular environment is present, making it the most common in the wild. It's said that they are able to read minds, as they react uncannily to their opponent's moves and have a knack for knowing just where prey are. Umbreon are dark type. They evolve if there is no particular environment, but they evolve to be nocturnal. It is unknown why this is. Its bodily rings glow when exposed to moonlight. They coexist with Eevee and Espeon in the wild, and keep predators away by unnerving them. Also, interestingly, their sweat is poisonous. Leafeon are grass type. They evolve in wooded environments occasionally, or when involved with a leaf stone. It's likely they evolve when food is scarce, since they can consume grass and other plant matter. Their fur changes to leaves that it uses to store energy. Glaceon are ice type and evolve in frigid environments. It uses its fur to make its hair stand on end and protect itself. They are popular in winter recreation industries due to their abilities to make snow by freezing the atmosphere. Sylveon are fairy type and evolve during mysterious circumstances. They evolve seemingly when they are needed, and trainers who desire them always seem to evolve their Eevees into Sylveon. They are capable of soothing the spirit, and partner Sylveon are given to people suffering from depression. They are also good in fights due to their ability to make foes unlikely to retaliate quite as hard. The Portagon line. Portagon is one of several man-made Pokémon. It has 2 evolutions depending on the data it is given, Portagon 2 and Portagon Z. They are all normal type and belong to the mineral egg group. They have no gender. Portagon, or Portagon 1, was originally made by the Sylph Co. to combat computer viruses. Later, it was considered sentient, and later still, the Sylph Co. made bodies for the Portagon to occupy. It is possible to reproduce biologically due to the Sylph Co.'s efforts, but sadly, the research was lost due to the head programmer, Bill Sr., passing away before passing on his code. Portagon 2 were invented by Bill Jr., the creator of the original PC Pokémon data storage system. Upgrade discs are in regular circulation for trainers who upgrade their Portagon. Sylph Company has partnered with Hoenn's aerospace efforts to create this Pokémon to explore the stars. As such, it requires no oxygen and is pressure stable, allowing it to live in 0G. Portagon Z were created
an anonymous bio-programmer.
It's unknown how or why it was developed. One theory is that it was developed by the Aether Foundation to explore different dimensions. They have not taken credit. It acts erratically, but trainers seem to love them. They are evolved using dubious discs. Snorlax line. Baby Munchlax evolve into Snorlax. They are both normal type and belong to the monster egg group. Snorlax possesses a Gigantamax form. Munchlax are small creatures, 60 centimeters tall, who consume far past what their metabolism requires. This eating causes that evolution. Snorlax grow into massive appetites. They only seem to engage in sleeping and eating, but are happy to be trained. They occasionally carelessly eat small Pokémon, but their diet is herbivorous. They are immense, 2 meters tall and 2 meters wide, weighing an average of 460 kilos, or nearly half a ton. Due to their sedentary lifestyle, they are peaceful with humans, but they do get in the way of roots occasionally. Gigantamax Snorlax grow so large that trees and bushes grow on them. The snoring is a nuisance. The Muck line. The Muck line begins with Grimer, then Muck. They have an Alolan form to be discussed later on, and the Cantonian form is poison type, belonging to the amorphous egg group. Grimer is a pile of sludge and waste. The actual biomass of Grimer is very small, but it attaches itself to waste of all kinds. Newborn Grimer are incubated inside their parents' bodies and hatch into a fresh batch of sludge. Grimer quickly die if they have no sludge to bond to. Muck are even larger and genuinely toxic. Trainers who use Muck are legally required to use synthetic sludge that has no aroma. Large groups of them congregate around factories. Though they smell repugnant, they are good for the environment, since they consume waste. Sadly, Chapter 3 is long enough as it is, so next time we will discuss the remainder of Kanto's areas and the remainder of the Pokémon therein. Worry not, Kanto fans, your favorites will be discussed soon. This has been Professor Redwood. See you next time.